So hardware consistency, how do we start? What are the things that we need to consider? And what does that even mean, hardware consistency?
Well, in any IT strategy, you want to stay consistent with the hardware because there's going to be a lot of variation between the companies in the kind of software that the users use and what the users are familiar with. But the best strategy is to stay consistent. And we have a list of topics that we're going to talk about. Breaking down what we mean when we say hardware consistency. So that's going to be the same brand um, across the board. You don't want to have mismatched hardware when it comes to a full operating system. Memory, disk, processor, those are very important as well. I'd like to talk to more about those. Laptops, if there's any, keyboards, mouse, the peripherals, docking stations to increase productivity with multiple monitors, and yeah.
I would say that Dell is the best brand for anyone to have in terms of computers. You can customize your product, and they sell a whole variety of services between printers to keyboards to computers, laptops, and I think that the consistency on having the brand is the most critical portion.
I think we also want to look at the, what's the difference between the laptops and the desktops. We want to remember that the laptop comes with audio, a mic, a mouse, and a keyboard. And, the mobility aspect of it, you can take it anywhere and work remotely from anywhere. Desktop, you can also, but, you have to carry that big thing around, and it doesn't comes with the speakers or a mic. So that's some other stuff that you will have to add to it. Also, one positive thing about keeping that hardware consistency is for troubleshooting procedures, right? Because once you find out an issue with something, it's easy to replicate that fixed that solution to fix that issue all over your company, because you already know the equipment, you already know what the issue is, you already know how to fix it. As opposed to having different brands, you might have a similar issue, but it might not be the same solution all across.
And not just with troubleshooting, but let's say, for example, you want to stay consistent throughout the whole course of the enterprise, right? You want to build an image having one set of brand and one set of equipment, set of models, allow you to keep that image for all your laptops, for all your desktop. I also want to add a couple of things. What right is when you build a relationship with a vendor, whether it's Dell, HP, Asus, whoever you pick, you can start leveraging that relationship. You can get better pricing, you can get better deals, you can get bundle packages. Maybe you need to buy 20 desktop and 20 laptops, and you want to put that together in a package deal. Going to one vendor and negotiating a bundle deal for the whole package makes it easier than going to Best Buy to buy one laptop for one brand and going to Amazon to buy monitors for a different brand. So having the package bundle, even if you pay a little more and you get the consistency of the whole package and the whole bundle, you're going to get it all delivered at the same time. You're going to get one notification on when the thing ships. It just makes it much, much easier to deploy, to support, and to roll out.
What about, for example, I'm sorry, Javier. So, for example, not everybody is going to have the same job. As sweet as Windows is, for example, let's say the people in marketing, usually the marketing people, especially content creators, they're going to be driven towards, for example, Mac.
Right.
Everybody company using Windows, and all of a sudden these guys in the corner, they're using Mac. So what's the correct approach when it comes to that kind of situation?
I think as far as Mac and Windows users, there is some variation between departments. But Israel mentioned that sometimes you shouldn't be afraid to spend a little more to get the best products. And I know that there's a wide debate between AMD processors and Intel processors, but even Macs run on Intel processors. And I believe that you should stay consistent going down to the fine details of the equipment. And that brings me into the memory and the storage. You definitely want to be going with SSDs over HDDs, and you definitely want to have as much RAM as possible. I'm talking 2 8 GB sticks at least.
Javier, you were gonna say something? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, no, it was when Israel was talking about. I was more thinking like in the office side of it. It all looks, the look and feel is better and it's nicer just to have everything looking the same as having this person with a 24-inch monitor and then the other one with a 42-inch monitor and one with one monitor, another one with two. And I know sometimes it's about a budget and was keeping the spending to a limit. But um, we've lived it and we have it at the office, and it's definitely really nice to walk around and see it's all looking the same way. Maybe it's I don't know, maybe I'm weird like that, but I like things structured and then looking alike.
Right. And so let's move on to the next point. Let's talk about what about operating systems. It's Raw. I think that you were going to say something when it comes to operating systems, right? What's the right approach?
Yeah, I mean, whatever approach you pick may be the correct one. Every organizations may have different criteria in picking the right operating system, whether it's Linux or Windows, whether it's Windows 2012, 2016, 2019. There's a number of reasons why their strategy is gonna vary. But whatever strategy you have, you need to stay consistent to that. And it may be that, on your operating system, you have to pick Linux for some and Windows for the others. You may have applications that can only run on Windows 2012 versus 2016 and things like this. So having consistency and having a coherent environment allows you to get skill sets, purchasing power, all of those make it very structured and very formal, kind of like what we were saying about having this purse. One person has monitors 15-inch and another one has monitors 24-inch. Having consistencies allows you to get better leverages in terms of support, in terms of skill sets, things like that.
And there is also, I just wanted to give an example on the vendors. You might have, you might be using Promox, for example, but then you have the Azure on the other side or Amazon. I wouldn't recommend any business to have like a hybrid environment in terms of different vendors, like some servers on Promox, some servers on Azure, because that, I mean, that would drive an IT department crazy,
but
depending on how big.
Yeah,
But,
but remember that let's say, for example, there's a company that buys 2 or 3 companies together, and one of the challenges is that they come with dispersed IT strategies, right? Managing and putting them coherently and putting them all together is part of doing business, right? So you may have, for example, a supermarket that buys multiple other supermarkets, or a healthcare organization that's maybe buys 5, 6 hospitals at a time. Those 5, 6 hospitals will have different application, different IT strategies. So be mindful of some of that. May be part of an inherent acquisition or something like this.
And it's definitely a challenge to try to get all that all in one place.
Right.
Omera, what's your favorite operating system right now? Is it Windows? Is it Mac?
For me, it's absolutely Windows all the time. It's a very familiar interface to me. I've always used Windows, never had a Mac computer. though I have used them at school. And from any business computer class that I've taken, they all recommend Windows as the #1 platform, and it has the most advanced security in terms of protection and malware, firewall, all this stuff. So I think that for me, it's I go Windows all day. So.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
But one thing to add too is, for example, we all are iPhone users and we all love Apple when it comes to mobile devices. Yeah, we have Windows environments for our laptops and our environment. Know that you're going to have different brands and different vendors across the enterprise at some point or another. You're not going to be able to get all Dell equipment because they won't make Dell phones. That last time I checked, maybe that changes in the future, but you are going to have to support an environment where you have multiple vendors. What we are saying is to try to stay consistent to whatever strategy you pick. You choose Dell for your laptop, stay Dell laptops as your consistency. You pick your mobile devices to be iPhone, roll out iPhone, right? It's consistency is what we're talking about.
Right. What about before we wrap it up, run out of time? Let's say that you mentioned you mentioned Dell. Let's say, for example, if Dell were to have phones, right? But still, you prefer iPhone because it's more optimal or just better. Is that the right thing to do?
I mean, I'm not sure about the right thing to do. I guess it will be more depending on what you used to or how. I mean, if you want to look at new things, I would definitely love having my text messages on my Windows computer. So when I look at it that way, yes, I will probably try the Dell phone just to have that feature. But because I don't have a Mac, I'm not a Mac user. But yes, that having the text messaging and having been able to just jump on a text message and reply from my computer while I'm working on some other things is a nice to have feature.
Right.
I think there's going to be also get down to kind of like your requirements, your business requirements, right? Maybe you love having messages, but the business requirement is that they all connect to Azure in some form or another. We see that the Macs, they can do it, but it requires a lot more interaction, a lot more software, more integration points and things like that. Where I think what we're trying to say is we have to evaluate your business requirement for your enterprise and then decide and prioritize those key things based on your needs.
Yeah. So requirements might change, but you want to stay as consistent as possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would say that even if Dell offered a cell phone, I would not purchase it because the accessibility that iMessage offers, that it's free as long as you have Wi-Fi. Like there's nothing easier than that platform to communicate, and I think that's kind of where Apple has a competitive advantage in the operating system.
But they also have a lock, right? You can run WhatsApp and communicate with everyone. I just think that iMessage is so friendly, user friendly. It was one of the first ones to come out with emojis. I think that advantage of having a lock environment has its pros and cons.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, there's a lot of varying opinions about hardware and what it can be used for depending on the user. But at the end of the day, this is about IT strategy and providing the best service to the customer. So really every situation is unique, but there are some guidelines that you should follow, and that is staying consistent with the brands and making sure that the devices meet the requirements of the users.
Definitely, I agree with that 100%. And I would say that the most critical portion of a company's infrastructure is to have the hardware available to be able to move their teams remotely, to be able to work within the office environment, and for everyone to be consistent with that hardware is really the best way that they can all succeed together.
my message will go to the company owners or business owners and the companies out there. Reach out to your IT department before making any hardware purchases, and get their input on it, because it's going to save you money in the long run.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially when it comes down to overall strategy in terms of buying equipment, in terms of supporting the equipment and expertise, right? Those are going to be three key points that Austin touched based on the guidelines, right? If you have a coherent environment, you can easily support that environment. You can leverage your relationship with vendors and negotiate better deals, and you can hire expertise and have consistent support throughout that. You know, and we encourage you to come talk to us to consider some of those points when you're looking at IT strategy, right? We want to help you in selecting your IT, whether it's applications or hardware. We want to be your partner.
Israel, do you want to plug something before we go?
I'm good. I'm actually, they have some people waiting on the other line, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. So thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.